What if the biggest red flag isn't that she's pulling away, it's that she keeps pulling you back? She texts just enough to keep you interested, she gives you hope, then disappears. She enjoys your attention, but avoids giving you clarity. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Not everyone who enjoys your company wants a relationship. Sometimes people enjoy the attention more than the person giving it. Today we're breaking down 5 psychological signs that may suggest she's using you primarily for attention, not because women are all the same, but because certain human behaviors follow recognizable patterns. And make sure you stay until the 5th sign, because it's the one that keeps thousands of good people emotionally stuck without even realizing it. Let's start with something important. None of these signs prove someone's intentions with certainty. People communicate differently. Life gets busy. Some people struggle with commitment, while others simply aren't ready for a relationship. That's why this video isn't about judging anyone, it's about recognizing patterns. Psychologists often say that behavior repeated over time tells a much clearer story than words spoken in the moment. And that's exactly what we're focusing on today. If you recognize one sign, don't jump to conclusions, but if you consistently notice several of these behaviors happening together, it may be time to look at the situation more honestly, because protecting your emotional well-being begins with understanding what someone's actions are really communicating. Let's get into the first sign. Sign number 1. She loves your attention, but avoids clarity. Have you ever noticed how some conversations feel incredibly exciting? Until you ask where things are going, suddenly, everything changes. She enjoys the compliments, she enjoys the conversations, she enjoys your time. But the moment you ask a simple question like, "What are we?" or "Do you actually see this going somewhere?" the answer becomes vague. Let's just see. I'm not ready. Why do we need labels? Now. There's nothing wrong with taking relationships slowly. Healthy relationships often develop over time. The issue is consistency. Months pass, nothing changes. The connection stays emotionally confusing. Psychologically, uncertainty can be surprisingly powerful. When people never know where they stand, they often invest even more effort trying to gain certainty. It's similar to a puzzle with one missing piece. Your mind keeps returning to it because it feels unfinished. That's why mixed signals can become emotionally addictive. Not because they're healthy, but because uncertainty keeps hope alive. Here's a simple question. Does she offer genuine progress, or just enough hope to keep you waiting? Because there's a huge difference. Sign number 2. She appears most interested. When your attention fades. This one surprises many people. Imagine you've been texting her regularly for weeks. Your conversations are average, nothing special. Then life gets busy, you stop texting for a few days. Suddenly, she reaches out, she asks where you've been, she sends funny messages, she becomes unusually engaged. At first, it feels flattering. Maybe she missed you. Sometimes that's exactly what's happening. But notice what happens next. The moment you start giving her consistent attention again, her enthusiasm fades. Why? Behavioral psychology offers an interesting explanation. People naturally notice when something they expected becomes less available. Sometimes they pursue it not because they want a deeper relationship, but because they miss the attention it provided. Think of it like background music. You barely notice it until someone turns it off. Then suddenly, the silence stands out. If someone's interest only grows when they're losing your attention, ask yourself an honest question. Are they missing you or missing the attention you gave them? Those are 2 very different things. Sign number 3. You do most of the emotional work. Healthy relationships feel balanced, not perfect, balanced. Some days one person gives more. Other days the roles reverse. But over time, the effort evens out. Now imagine something different. You're always starting conversations. You're always planning meetups. You're always checking in. You're always apologizing first. You're always trying to keep the connection alive. Meanwhile, she happily responds. She enjoys talking, but rarely takes initiative herself. Psychologists often describe relationships as emotional investments. Healthy connections involve mutual contribution, not equal every single day, but mutual over time. Picture 2 people rowing a boat. If only one person keeps rowing, the boat still moves, but eventually that person becomes exhausted. Relationships work the same way. Here's something worth thinking about. If you stopped initiating today, would the relationship continue naturally, or would it slowly disappear? Sometimes the answer to that question reveals more than months of overthinking ever could. So far, we've covered 3 signs. But the next two are where things become much more subtle because attention isn't always requested directly. Sometimes it's encouraged indirectly. Before we continue, comment below. Have you ever mistaken attention for genuine interest? Your experience might help someone else avoid the same confusion. Now let's move on to sign number 4. Sign number 4, she keeps you emotionally close but never truly lets you. In this pattern is surprisingly common. She tells you you're important. She says she enjoys talking to you. She might even say you're different from other guys, naturally. You assume the relationship is growing, but then nothing changes. She doesn't make future plans. She avoids deeper commitment. She keeps the emotional connection alive without allowing it to become something more meaningful. Why does this happen? Because emotional support feels good. Everyone appreciates being understood, being encouraged, being listened to. The problem begins when one person believes the connection is moving toward a relationship, while the other person only wants the comfort of emotional attention. Imagine standing outside a house with the front door open just enough for conversation, but never enough to walk inside. You keep believing the invitation is coming. It never does. That's why psychologists encourage paying attention to actions instead of possibilities. Ask yourself this: are you building a relationship or are you maintaining someone else's comfort? Those aren't always the same thing. Hashtag sign number 5. She gives you just enough hope to keep you around. This is the most powerful sign, and often the hardest to recognize. Think about a slot machine. Most spins lose, but every once in a while, there's a small reward. That tiny reward keeps people pulling the lever. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. Unexpected rewards often create stronger habits than predictable ones. Now apply that to relationships. For days, she's distant. Then suddenly, she sends an affectionate message. She compliments you. She suggests meeting. You think, things are finally changing. Then, she becomes distant again. Weeks later, another small burst of attention, another hopeful conversation, another reason to stay emotionally invested without realizing it. You're no longer building a relationship, you're chasing moments. Those occasional moments feel incredibly meaningful because they're rare. But healthy relationships don't depend on emotional guessing games, they depend on consistency. Real interest isn't confusing most of the time. It doesn't require decoding every text message. It doesn't leave you constantly wondering whether today will be different. Consistency creates security. Inconsistency creates obsession. And there's an important difference between the two. Now here's the question. What should you do if several of these signs sound familiar? First, don't become angry. Anger rarely creates clarity. Second, don't try to earn someone's affection by giving even more. Many people believe, if I just try harder, they'll finally choose me. Sometimes effort strengthens relationships, but effort cannot create genuine interest where it doesn't already exist. Instead, take one small step back, observe, stop chasing, stop trying to interpret every message, watch what happens naturally. Healthy interest doesn't disappear because you stop carrying the entire relationship. In fact, sometimes stepping back reveals who was actually investing all along. Most importantly, have an honest conversation, not to demand answers, not to assign blame, simply to understand where both of you stand. Clear communication saves months of unnecessary confusion, because the truth, even when it's disappointing, is often kinder than endless uncertainty. Remember this: your attention has value, your time has value, your emotional energy has value. Don't treat those things as unlimited resources. Offer them to people who genuinely appreciate them, not only when it's convenient, but consistently. The biggest lesson isn't learning how to spot someone who's using you for attention. It's learning to value yourself enough that you no longer stay in situations where effort isn't mutual. Healthy relationships don't leave you constantly questioning your worth. They don't survive on breadcrumbs of affection. They grow through honesty, respect, consistency, and shared effort. If someone truly values having you in their life, their actions will eventually reflect it, not perfectly, but consistently enough that you don't have to spend every day wondering. Because the strongest relationships aren't built on chasing attention. They're built on mutual investment. If you enjoyed this video and want more psychology-based insights about relationships, attraction, and human behavior, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. And now we'd love to hear from you. Which of these 5 signs do you think people ignore the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Someone reading your experience today might gain the clarity they've been searching for. Thanks for watching, and remember, never confuse someone's enjoyment of your attention with genuine commitment. The right relationship won't leave you guessing where you stand.